So, welcome to the toy. This is the toy. Welcome to act.tv on Twitch. Act.tv on Twitch. Judah. Judah. Act.tv on Twitch.
No,
Hello,
this is great.
greetings.
Thanks for having me here. This is I actually just joined Twitch about 30 minutes ago. So this is very exciting. I still don't know how to see the comments on here, but
So, you don't see the chat scrolling down on the right side?
I see it on your screen,
Okay.
but I can't. It's so small, I can't read it.
Oh.
Can I join the chat?
You can join. You can. Then you would just have to have the Twitch open instead. So, the only problem is that the way you see and hear us will be like three
Oh,
seconds behind on that.
yeah, yeah. No worries, man.
But technically, you can.
I'll let you read the chat. I'll let you read the stream chat. Reading's never been one of my strong points, so I'll just have a conversation with you. Hello, everybody. Thanks for messaging stuff on the stream chat. I'll have James read it to me if anyone has any questions. But yeah, sorry for the delay. I was working on a new vaccine, and I think I got it. It's all gonna work out, everybody. So
We're good.
I'm here. Yeah, it's all good. Yeah. I think by Monday we're going to be all set. It's going to be all set by Monday. Yeah.
Nice, nice. Are you relying on corporate partners like Trump was, or?
Zero corporate partners. It's a vaccine for everyone but corporations. That corporations are the only ones who the vaccine doesn't work on. So I'm very excited about it. Very, very excited about it. Yeah.
Nice. Now I have to ask because I know it's a big deal. Is your vaccine going to cause autism? Because I hear it's a thing.
No, no. Yeah, no, I do a joke about that. Yeah, no, this is all good. This is actually a vaccine for capitalism, and it costs $25,000 to take it. So I I think that'll work out just perfectly.
Nice, nice.
Yeah,
Wow, Judy, you've been using your time locked away wisely.
I've been so busy, so busy. I was sick for a while, but it was actually Zika virus.
Oh
I'm
shit.
always a disease behind whatever the new cool trendy disease is. But thankfully I'm doing better now. I hope everybody's safe and healthy out there. Um, and any questions about my presidential platform, anybody, please ask me. I'm here for you. I'm here to save America. America, the number 4 ranked country in North America. I'm here to save it. Um, you just ask me any questions you need. I got it.
We were watching. I went to go watch some video of you yesterday because I'd be like, oh, Judah's coming on. People are like that name's so familiar. Who is that? And I, put a picture of him. He's like, oh, I know who he is. And so I put on, we go onto YouTube, and the first video that came up was the clip out of your Netflix special where you go over your presidential platform. It's like
Yeah,
about a minute and a half.
that was my presidential platform for 2017. I have a lot of new uh, platforms now. Yeah. So I do have. If people haven't seen it, I think more people saw my stand-up performance film overseas than they did in the U.S. So it's on Netflix. I made it 100% independently, uh, self-produced, directed, everything, and then and it was about it's about an hour and a half. Just stand up, black and white. There's no cheesy audience cutaway shots, and it's all satire on the U.S. and all the government corruption and oppression and all the human rights issues that we deal with. So, but all in jokes and satire, nothing preachy. And anyways, it's called America is the Greatest Country in the United States. So, anyways, that was released. So after I finished it, I was able to license it to Netflix, and it's there. You can see it. But since then, I have probably over 2 hours of material, and I haven't put out a new album or stand-up film yet. But I have been filming sets all this past year, so I'm going to be editing together a new film um, of all new material on everything that's going on, and I'm starting to release just little clips from it um, on my Instagram and Twitter and YouTube. And what else? And then I just started doing stand-up shows on Zoom. I did my first one last night, and I'm doing one this Wednesday and one Saturday. So just, I'm old. I'm 75 years old. I'm not that good at this internet stuff. Kids, give me a fucking break. I'm trying to get with it. All right. Um, so I so I'm starting to do a lot of stand-up shows on Zoom and then shows like this with you. I think we first met at a Black Lives Matter protest in Union Square.
We
Uh,
did.
that's I think where we first met. It's a few years ago now. I can't remember exactly what year it was, but it's a few years ago now. So yeah.
It's been a few. Yeah. So I have to say, Jude, I went to your yesterday. We were walking around. I went to your page, and you're not much on the YouTube, are you?
I started a YouTube page, I don't know, 10 years ago, and I think I put up 4 videos and I totally forgot about it. And then I wanted to
3.
start another YouTube page, and then I forgot about that. So I'm just getting back into it. I'm barely on YouTube. On YouTube, the page is Judah Champ, Judah Champ. On Twitter and Instagram, I'm Judah World Champ. And Facebook, I haven't posted on Facebook probably in, I don't know, a year. Um, so Facebook is also Judah World Champ. On Twitch, I'm now just my name, Judah Friedlander. Are you going to play a clip here?
Yeah, I can see how great this is. Now I don't know if I have the audio rethreaded so you can hear it.
Oh, no worries. No worries.
So
We can just talk then. We don't have to. You don't have to show it.
we'll find out. But real quick, let me see. I guess we'll find out if I do or not.
Well, they say love wins.
No, but anyways, you
You
can.
can't
It's
hear me. Okay.
Pretty strong track.
so I could talk about this a little bit. This is the type of project, even though it was on Netflix. Netflix never would have greenlit it if I pitched this to them because it's gritty, it's black and white, it's anti authority, it's counterculture. So it criticizes Hollywood and as well as our whole government and country and other countries. And so, anyways, it's not something they would have greenlit. And so I had to just make it myself. And the next one I'm going to make is I'm making it all myself. And I'll see if any of these companies want to buy it. And if not, I'll just release it myself.
Hey,
So,
listen. That's the thing now. Now I remember actually a couple of years ago. It was after we met at a protest, and you called me and you were telling me you were like, so I have a whole bunch of small cameras, and you were like, and I want to record myself doing sets, like even when I'm like practicing, like go on like Tuesday to the Comedy Cellar at 9 and throw down 15 minutes, and you were like, I want to be able to record it, and you were talking about using like small micro tech, shooting like low res, like for your own
yeah.
stuff, and then when the special came out, I was like, wow, he really ran with that, like.
Yeah. So, you know, this is I kind of made this as a real like low budget independent filmmaker. The cameras I had were, Hollywood wouldn't consider them professional cameras. They might be under the prosumer brand of camera. And I didn't film it the way they film it. A lot of it was filmed with no camera people, where I just put a little camera on a little mini tripod or a little bendy arm thing, or I just put it on a backpack and on a stool in the back and would film my sets that way. And then there were also many nights where I I got camera people. Most of them were film students or people who were just out of film school, and I did it handheld because I wanted a real feel to it. I didn't want this slick, overproduced, cookie cutter corporate kind of feel that most of the comedy specials have. I think stand up comedy is mostly a small platform art. It's like jazz. You don't want to see jazz at a stadium or an arena. You want to see it at a small, intimate room, and that's the way comedy is. So I filmed it in a way. I spent I spent about a year playing around with different angles and stuff, and I did my best to film it in a way so it just feels like you walked in some little dark room and you're just catching the show. And so in it, you'll see servers, wait staff, walking by, and you'll see some people getting up and going to the bathroom real quick, and so it captures, it's more documentary style than this. Here's a comedy special, and here's a swooping crane shot, and here's a shot of everyone in the audience. It's
Fly
just
the jib, fly the jib. You're like,
yeah, it
really?
has
Like,
nothing to do with comedy, So
I watched like the last few Kevin Hart specials that he did on Netflix,
yeah, uh-huh.
and I honestly think everybody has been chasing Eddie Murphy raw. Not Eddie Murphy Delirious, because Delirious was kind of stripped down, even though it was big stage. But Eddie
Sure.
Murphy Raw, if you remember, they had like the 15-minute intro piece where he's like walking through the back of Madison Square Garden. He's putting on the leather jacket. He's
Yeah.
giving everybody the high five. And now that's like the standard for every comedy special you see. It's like some weird, overproduced 20-minute intro that ends with a back shot of the guy walking onto stage live, and then they clip to the main camera. Like every camera,
Yeah.
they're all the
So
same now.
You're right. So I basically made an anti-special, and in the comedy business, it's like a smaller version of what's going on nationally. As the comedy business, it keeps getting more and more corporate. Just like America gets more and more corporate, it gets more and more razzle dazzle. Look at this shiny light over here while we wreck things over here. So I went the opposite route. And comedy's the main thing that I do. That's why I haven't been on social media that much. I'm a live performer. I do 2 to 4 shows a night. Um, Now with the way things are, I'm trying to do a lot more online because you can't really do the live performing. So, or with it's still live performing, it's just streamed. We're not
Yeah.
all in the same physical space. So, yeah, so I'm doing a lot more of that now, and I'm excited to check out Twitch more and stuff and learn more about it.
Oh,
I've done,
we got like 4 different things to talk about on that front. Let me tell you, like
I'm sure there's more than that,
it is.
so, yeah.
It's definitely the future. So a few things because I do want to address stuff in the chat just so people are wrapped up. So I had 2 big questions that came in.
Please.
So number 1, what's the Morse code on the hat say?
It's in Morse code. It says world champion.
There you
These are
go.
dark. It's in Morse code. Yes, good question.
People are asking. And then in reference to the sandwich episode on 30 Rock, somebody wanted to know, IRL, what is your go-to? What is your favorite sandwich? Which I consider to be one of the toughest questions you could ask somebody.
We're you and I are talking here for under an hour. This is not a 15-hour session here. Okay, guys. There's only a certain amount. I could talk for about 4 hours straight about just what kind of bread should be on the sandwich, depending on what meat is on the sandwich or what lack of meat is on the sandwich. Okay, it's a very serious question.
You need the synergy. That's
Now,
synergy.
and then there's, what's the definition of a sandwich? There's that kind of stuff.
Is a hot
But
dog a sandwich? Yeah, I know. I've gotten into this debate
depends
before.
how you eat it. Depends how you eat it.
You're not going to get the sandwich answer today, gang. You're not going to get the sandwich answer today.
No. As far as a go-to, I don't. There's, I try to be a diverse person, so there's not one that I must have. I will tell you, when I was a kid, when I was around 8, I was obsessed with grilled cheese sandwiches, and I remember as a family around then, we drove across country. And all I did was eat grilled cheese at every place we went to, driving across country. And I was trying to find the greatest grilled cheese ever made. And there were a lot of good ones. There were some that were not that good. And then at some point around that age, I discovered from my dad putting just a little bit of mustard on the grilled cheese can kind of take it to a whole other level. And the mustard is put on while you're making it. not afterwards.
Of course.
I'll just throw that out there in case anyone hasn't done that.
We're not heathens, Judah. We're cultured here.
It's okay. It's okay. And that was very good word, using the cultured while talking about cheese. Solid work, James. Solid work.
I do try, man. I got to impress you. You're the best wordsmith I know. So
Yeah.
I got to bust out all my $2 tricks here.
Sure.
All right, and then the last mutant food question, and then I got other stuff I want to actually talk to you about.
Someone asked about the role of entertainment in climate change.
That was the one.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'll give you a little example of how Hollywood is so concerned about climate change. Now, when I was doing 30 Rock and other shows, that wasn't the only one. I think now everything's pretty much email. But back then, I remember, and there'd be other shows, if they wanted to actually mail you the physical script, or let's say they wanted to mail you the physical check or something else, you're in the same city. They would often send it by FedEx. And I'm like, this is a colossal waste of many things. Here's another one. I remember now when I was on 30 Rock, I got invited to, because 30 Rock that won a lot of awards, so I got invited to a fair amount of the award shows. It was usually the SAG Awards and the Emmys. Now, when you go to those are real, especially the Emmys. That's a really big award show, and they would basically give you a stretch limo for the cast members. And I think each cast member would get their own stretch limo. Now, it's a stretch limo. It's made to put a lot of people in it. And they're putting one or two people in each stretch limo. And the Emmys starts at, let's say, 6 o'clock. And there's hundreds of shows on it, hundreds of thousands of people going to the Emmys, and they're all going in limos. Now, not only is this stupid for the environment, a drive that would normally be 45 minutes is now an hour and a half, because you have 5,000 people going to one location, and each vehicle is a stretch limo with two people in it. Very stupid, and for the environment as well. So, and then people will go on the Emmys and talk about things. It's like, well, how about that? How about that be the first fucking thing you talk about? So
I saw everybody was talking about what a mensch Joaquin Phoenix is, because he declared he would only wear one suit for the entirety of award show season. I was like, wow,
yeah,
that's totally not pretentious.
yeah, but you know how many plants and trees that suit was made out of, and how many dead animals that was made out of?
Oh,
I
and they
mean,
all suffered.
yeah.
So funny story. And I've never done this. Like, I've known you for like 4 years. I've never done like the business thing. And like last night, so for people who don't know, Judah called last night. We're just talking about regular shit, and he's like, "So you want to play tomorrow? What are you feeling about this? What do you feel?" It was basically a pre-production call. And I hung up the phone. I hadn't given it any thought. I laid down in bed with my wife. I'm like, "Come on, let's go to bed." And then I sat in bed all night staring at the ceiling, and I'm like, wow, now this is all serious. It was like a business call and a pre-production meeting. And I went and I whipped up like the IMDb page and the other stuff. So the year you were on the IFCs was my first year working on the IFCs.
I mean the Independent Spirit Awards.
I was a script PA the season that you were nominated and you were on there.
Oh wow,
I didn't even
wow!
remember. It was my first year.
That was 2004.
That was my first year at Dick Clark.
Yeah, yeah. I yeah. So I was in this film. I feel weird talking about myself here, but it's an interesting movie. So I might as well mention it in case people haven't seen it. It's called American Splendor, based off the comic book American Splendor, which was not a superhero comic. It was about the little moments, the most mundane moments, um, in Cleveland. And so it was a movie. It won Best Film at Sundance, and it was nominated for Best Film at the Spirit Awards. I actually got nominated for Supporting Actor in it. It stars Paul Giamatti, Hope Davis, James Urbaniak. James Urbaniak plays R. Crumb in it. It's a really interesting movie, and it's based off of Harvey P. Carr's book, and Giamatti plays Harvey P. Carr, and I play Toby Radloff, who's a real person who was often featured in the comic books. So it's a very creatively made movie and innovative in many ways, and so it's a biopic, and the real people are also in it. Joyce Brabner is in it. She's played by Hope Davis. So if you're into comic books, if you're into the creative process, um, or Misery. If you're into Misery, it's a good movie. It's a very interesting movie and very interestingly made film. So check it out, American Splendor, if you haven't seen that.
It is a classic. It's really awesome because I remember that, and then the next year, Memento was nominated, and those are like
Cool.
my two favorite independent films for years.
Cool. Yeah, I don't remember Memento. I just don't remember.
Oh, that was next level. That was next level.
You set me up too well. I had to go for it.
No, it's cool. I do that. That's what I just throw softballs, brother. That's what I do, man. It's like batting practice. So last night when we were talking, like we touched on something real brief, and I kind of, I have a funny feeling it's been rattling around in your head. So I want to get your opinion on this now. So TV studios essentially shut down in March. Film and TV, even Netflix. Now you and I, I don't talk much about what everybody in the channel knows what I do. I don't really talk about me to you, but like I worked in TV for like 12 years. So like I did production for ages. And so like at least like production cycles, basic shit, I explained it to people. So there's going to be almost no TV in the fall and then no TV in the winter. Like it's all gone. Like that's it. There were no seasons. Shows that were in production, stuff like The Voice or American Idol, they're literally mailing contestants like live stream rigs, like what I have around me. And they take 2 days, they set them up in their living room, and they're performing live on TV, on a camera. You know, they're feeding it back through a post loop. You know, John Legend sitting on his couch eating Jiffy Pop going, oh, this is excellent, like in another camera. But other than reality-based programming, that's it. It's over. Like there's going to be no fall TV season. There will be no winter holiday TV season. There will probably be no spring TV season.
It'll be interesting to see what happens. Yeah, I would guess they're going to do everything they can to get going, because I remember, when things got shut down, um, I I I'm someone who's very distrustful of the government. I mean,
You should
you
be.
know, in general, I mean, I'm way to the left, but I'm generally very distrustful of it, period. But uh, so I remember in late February, I messaged a friend of mine who lives in Rome. He's a comedian, stand-up comic from Rome. And at this point, Rome had been basically split in half. The northern part went into lockdown quarantine, and the southern part did not. And I remember in the news here, they hardly ever even mentioned coronavirus or what had been going on in China. And then when Italy got locked down, that got a little bit of press here, but still not that much. The attitude was sort of like in the news was like, "What's up with Italy? What's going on there?
Yeah,
No one else
it was
in Europe.
it was
What's
Italy, Iran, South Korea, and China. Which, if you know Americans, 80% of Americans were like, and
right,
just went on.
exactly." And so I think I think there's many levels to how this country has messed up, and many countries have messed up in their response to things. But I think some of it was just our own. And when I say our, I mean the nation. I mean the media. Just the country as a whole, kind of is. It's very narcissistic generally, and um, the election stuff was in full modes. The mainstream media tends to generally just focus on one or two storylines that they never cover much of a bigger picture. So initially it was like, well, crazy stuff is going on in China. And they're like, well, that's crazy China, and then it was in Italy and they're like, oh, guess Italy's crazy. And so I think it was a mix of like as a nation, our nation's own arrogance and self-indulgence and narcissism, as well as other bigotries like racism and stuff like that, as far as ignoring China and stuff like that, or even the Italy. And with China, I think also some of it was the distrust of the Chinese government for being secretive, and that's legit. You can make arguments that that's certainly legit.
They have kept shit under wraps a few times when pandemics have traveled through China,
Yeah,
and they've just
yeah.
kind of
Right. I mean, their
so.
government's known for doing a lot of human rights violations. They're quite well known for that. But um, you know, but it, you know, but so all this stuff is going on there. It's barely getting covered here at all. So I texted my friend and I'm like, Are you okay? Half your country just got into like a basically a government military lockdown. What's going on? What do you think about it?" And immediately he said, "Yes, they must shut things down. It's the only way to keep things safe. Otherwise, the hospitals are going to get overwhelmed and they're not going to be able to care for people. So for right now, we must shut down." And then a week later, first week of March, I messaged a filmmaker friend of mine from South Korea in Seoul, and I asked her about what she thinks, and she said the same thing. She's like, "Yes, we have to shut down, or else the system will get overwhelmed, and we can't, and the doctors won't be able to take care of people, and it'll get too out of control." So I'm like, okay, these people said the same thing. I wasn't expecting them to say that, and I was like, they obviously have more knowledge and info than we did at the time, and they're further ahead along on the timeline. This is going to happen here, especially since it seems like it's not even an issue that people are, being aware of. I remember a week or two before things got locked down in New York, I was telling people they're going to shut this city down, and they were like, people couldn't even imagine it. And now look where we are today. So, and unfortunately, China, Korea, South Korea had their first confirmed case on January 20th, the same day the U.S. did. And South Korea has had under 300 deaths so far, U.S. over 81,000. So, South Korea, you're doing a bad job. You're way behind us. We're just so far ahead of you. Get it together, South Korea. What are you doing?
Everybody wants to be number one until it's time to do number one things.
Yep, we're number one.
And then they all get mediocre.
And the country still, like, I have a friend who's in Hong Kong, and they post like news stories every once in a while. In Hong Kong, um, they currently have 23 days in a row of zero new locally transmitted cases. So I think they've still had some international cases coming in, but they're being tracked. But zero new local transmissions. In the
But
U.S., there's still thousands of people dying a day, and we're like, open it up, so
so
crazy.
the only comparative, like, and a lot of countries have done this right. Like Japan did really well until they tried to open up early.
Right.
The Hong Kong one is the only comparison that I'm not good with, and people have brought it up a lot. Because if you remember, Hong Kong just had a year worth of those protests that went on. So
Another
they
one,
were,
okay.
yeah. So they were like in full fascism mode when like
Yeah.
the COVID hit, and they already had 40 bazillion like armed military out in the streets, and like they already had like they didn't have quarantines, but like they had like stay at home after dark. Like they had a whole bunch of shit implemented, so they only had to ratchet it up like 1 or 2 degrees. Like, so the Hong Kong one, a little different, but like, yeah, we have a.
What you're saying is America may not be as good at fascism as it thinks it is.
I mean, we're really good at being fascist adjacent.
Yes,
Like,
very good.
I think that's the sweet spot right there. Is like we respect it, but we're not going to go full fash because of the marketing issue, and
Yeah,
that's a tough one to market.
we keep the oligarchy in place, but don't want to come off too fascistic there.
No,
But
you like to get
we'll see what
close.
happens. We'll see what happens.
You like
But
to butt right up against it, but not,
yeah.
Hey, it's the smart play. So seriously, so I've been thinking about the entertainment thing. The one of the first years I moved to LA was the first writers' strike, which I want to say was late '90s, and the WGA and the DGA thought they had Hollywood by the balls and went on strike. and somebody came in and went, "Have you heard about this show called Big Brother in Germany? Hold on, let me show you this."
Oh,
And
geez.
a month later, I was working on The Apprentice. And they shot Survivor, The Apprentice, and Big Brother all in the same year. It was the first year of the first writer's strike.
That was 2000, I think. Was
Or,
that
uh,
2000?
or, or 01. That was 01. It was the second writer's strike.
Yeah. Because I remember there was a pending writer's strike that
Yeah.
year, and because I was on a film that year, I was doing a film that year, and I remember they started the film a little early because they thought there was going to be a writer's strike, and the script
Oh.
wasn't finished yet. And at some point, they like came to me and they're like, "Hey, do you want to do some rewriting on this?" And I'm like, "I've never written a movie script before. I don't know what to do."
Here, punch this up.
So I mean, I did a little bit, but then I gave it to them a few days late, and they'd already moved on. But it was interesting to start on a movie that they only had part of the script. Yeah.
Oh God,
So
that's most stuff I work on. Trust me,
right.
I've worked on
I
every
didn't,
bad reality show ever, like ever.
but I didn't realize that. That's an interesting point that I never realized that the rise of reality shows started with the
The
writer's
writer's
strike. As
strike.
you're, that's very interesting and
That's
makes sense.
why. That's exactly why it happened. And then what happened was after the writer's strike, and everybody was like, "Oh, good, we can go back to creating great content." And
Yeah.
all the production studios were like, this shit only costs like 1/8 the price to produce, and we got the same ratings in the same slots." And that was it.
And they still have writers, but they have it worked out so it's non-union most of the time.
It is
So
so and again, like, because I work in script primarily. So it was always the worst because, like, they would hire us as script and then have us write, but it would be a non-union gig and you wouldn't get credit for WGA.
sure,
And it
sure.
was like, well, you're not really writing the script. You're just writing like intros and outros for the host because the rest of it is just vamp. That's all that's written on the paper.
Right.
So technically, you weren't a writer. So, like, all the shitty Jeff Probst
That's
taglines were.
writing. Yeah, that's still writing. Uh, well, Hollywood, they're just so left wing. That's why they don't want too many unions coming in there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a whole wacky thing. So I'm wondering, like, what this is going to look like now that, I mean, like, there is no TV. Like, that's it for the fall. And American Idol
Well,
and
they're
The
going to start
Voice.
doing streaming shows. They're going to start doing. I mean, look at Saturday Night Live. They're doing
Yeah,
shows, and they're going to, like you said, with those contest shows, they're going to, mail people different, camera, audio setups, and they're going to do it. They'll find a way, and that's okay, But you should be, paying people and taking care of people too.
well, I was thinking, I was up all night after I talked to you. Like, I was thinking of all, like, because again, what we do here on Twitch, and this will go out to, YouTube, Insta, whatever, because we can take it and reformat it for sizes,
Oh,
push it back out. But, like, in my head, I was thinking, like, just so you know, like, I don't like, I've worked with so many people, I don't do the whole standing like comedians or TV people. It's just not my thing. Um, like, I used to hang out with Dave and Norton a shit ton back in the 90s when they were just, South End
yeah, I
bar
heard you say
crawling.
that on Ted's podcast. You said you worked at a bar or restaurant.
Yeah, in the village. So, like, I
Which
used
one?
to,
Which one? Can you
it was a
say?
place called Remote Lounge. It was right next door to CBGB's.
I remember Remote Lounge. I don't think I'd ever been in there. I don't drink, but I
Yeah.
know, I definitely remember that name and walking by it.
Because it was
Sure.
next to CBGB's and it was like a block from Veselka, which is where everybody would go when they were
What?
hammered to go eat pierogies at 5 in the morning because there's no
Veselka's
fucking
a
L train.
very good. Veselka's a very good 24-hour Ukrainian
I
and
love Veselka.
American diner. Yeah.
Oh, the pierogies there are just lunacy, man. We'd get
Yeah.
hammered at 5 in the morning and go in there and just devastate it. It was so good.
A good hang there.
It
Yeah.
was a good hang. So like I don't stand the comedy stuff much, but like I've met Jeff a whole bunch of times. I love Jeff. I have a soft spot for the roast. To me, it's like it is.
Oh, roast. Yeah.
Yeah, and I
That's
was
like a
just
whole other thing. The roast is a whole other thing, and when it's done well, it can be great. Often, I'm not into them. They're just kind of
yeah. Let's slap on each other, but call it.
sometimes they're kind of cheap shots or kind of fake. And often, there's pluses and minuses. Yeah.
But
So
I appreciate it as an art form because I got raised by my grandparents, so I grew up on the Dean Martin celebrity roasts that were already
sure.
like 30
Yeah.
years old because they had them on like VHS and they
Yeah,
just
yeah,
play them
yeah.
all the time. Um, so I was thinking about stuff like the celebrity roast. I was thinking about, I think you were on After Midnight on one of the last episodes, like the week before they pulled it, weren't you?
What show?
After Midnight?
You mean at midnight?
At midnight, sorry, not after midnight.
Oh,
At midnight.
well, I don't know. That show was filmed in LA. I I'm based in New York, so
Yeah.
I didn't do it
You
that
were
often.
you were
So
out
I
in
don't.
LA.
Oh yeah, no. So whenever I would go to LA to do some work, I would always try to get on that show because that could help cover some of the hotel
Yeah.
and be a little money, so it would help cover costs. That was one of the reasons for doing it. But
Well,
yeah, maybe it was one of the last ones. I don't know. I don't know.
because like the week after was the thing when all the shit broke about Chris and his girlfriend, they pulled the show off the
Oh,
air.
wow, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. So you were on one of the last ones. I used to love that show. And I've been thinking like shows like that or even roast stuff like that. That stuff that can be done with this technology with all different people in remote
I
areas.
think they might already be working on. I don't know who's doing it, but I think there might already be in the works some kind of a new roast show. Yeah.
Which would be awesome.
So.
And if Jeff doesn't have to deal with Comedy Central, if they're done with the Comedy Central because I'm sure people hate doing network shit when you're dealing with comedy. I mean, you don't really
Oh,
work
I don't
blue,
know. I
so
mean, some people. Well, some people do and some don't. Most people don't. Most comics don't. Won't ever do any kind of criticism of the industry because
yeah, they want to work
there's meant
again.
to be. Yeah, one of them is because they're intertwined with them, and I mean, there are some people I think who might want to speak out but don't. But there's a lot who don't want to speak out because they're part of the problem also. So it's a mixed bag. But that's one of the things that's happened in comedy where it's gotten more corporate over the years. It's not just the gatekeepers making it more corporate. Sometimes it's the comics helping make it more corporate also.
So,
Which
and I actually hadn't even thought about it until you brought it up. What was your thought on like Last Comic Standing on having like game shows or reality shows because it's exposure versus corporatizing and watering down? Like where'd you land
Well,
on it?
I think I was asked to be a judge on that show once, and I turned it down. I'm not into. No, I think it was a guest judge for like one episode. It wasn't for like
Ah,
a season or anything like that. It was. I think there was one season of that show where they had rotating guest judges, and I think at the time that show was on NBC, and I was on 30 Rock, which was NBC. So they were reaching out to different, some people from 30 Rock, some people from The Office, other NBC shows. So I'm not into judging other comics. I like to view stand-up comedy, you know, when it's done well as an art form. Often it's not an art form. It's just another way to fucking take money from people, but or give them some kind of entertainment. But so I was not going to be there judging anybody, and then and who am I to judge anybody? Even take the TV show aside. It's like what you want me to criticize someone and either try to help or hurt their career and talk about what they're doing. I'm not interested in that. Yeah. So I
well,
I didn't.
I just didn't know which. I mean, obviously from the other standpoint of just like the show being out there, so that you're getting the yes, you have a chance to get comedians who don't get exposure to get exposure, but then on the other
Yeah, I mean
hand,
that's so much of showbiz is I mean,
it's like the
so
give
much
and
of the
take.
stuff you say so much of the stuff you often can say yes to is stuff you're doing because you're hoping it can get you to do what you really want to do. I mean, I did a lot of acting work I did was so that I can they're union jobs, and if I make enough each year, I can maybe get health care. That's why I would do acting jobs. Or hey, maybe they'll see me in this and then they'll learn that I do stand-up comedy and that's my main thing. So it's but uh I mean, I'm not saying every acting job's been that way. I mean, a lot of times it's for the art too, but sometimes you got to eat and you got to try to get health care since we have a government that doesn't provide it.
Yeah, that's a whole thing too. Yeah, that
Yeah.
whole we're not going to give you healthcare or money, and oh god, I'm trying to keep it light because I'm shooting the shit with you, and
No,
like I
I
know
mean,
you're like
no, keep it light or heavy. I mean, my act is, I mean, when I'm doing my act, it's all it's all comedy, but it's all heavy topics, you
The
know.
the
I'm
is
just
your
so glad our government took care of the billionaires first, you
well,
know. I
yeah.
mean, billionaires are such a discriminated against group. If we lose the billionaires, I mean, just where are we? I mean,
Well,
there's not that many billionaires left. We only have a few of them, and
and
we got to protect them. They're an endangered species.
plus, look at it this way: if you only give money to the working class, then how does the trickle down work?
Yeah, trickle down. That's
You got to think of the trickle down. Uh-oh. Judah
on
moved. Oh,
trickle
there he is.
down. Yeah, I'm here. Do you see me?
Yeah, your internet got wonky when you moved.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, I've never seen trickle down economics not work. It just seems like a perfect structure. Um, oh, I meant not work for corporations and billionaires. It always works for them. Um,
I get a great theory that the first $1 trillion that you remember when they were going to give businesses like 2 trillion, and they're like, but we're giving people $1 trillion to like take the sting away from the rest of the corporate money. So here's my working philosophy. Let me know what you think. So they give everybody a $1,200 check. They wait like 2 months, so everybody's broke. They give everybody a $1,200 check. People immediately take the check, flip it over, sign it, give it to their landlord. Landlord immediately takes it, flips it over, signs it, gives it to the bank. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but the United States government just laundered $1 trillion to banks through the working class in under 30 days. Your thought?
um, my only thought is if people actually got those checks. That's my only thought. But yes, you know, rich people are the ultra rich are really good at stealing and conning. They're very good at it. Very
Uh,
good at it.
I saw the
And that we gotta protect them. We got to protect those billionaires. I
we
mean,
do. Like we've been doing a good job. I saw even as the unemployment's been going up and everything else, I saw the stock market actually had its best month in 40 years.
that just goes to show you what a great position this country's in right now. Everything's going perfectly. Um, yeah,
Line go up.
yeah, no, it's crazy. But yeah, I really hope everybody just hug a billionaire, save a billionaire, please. How many billionaires can you even name? I mean, not that many. There's not many left, guys. We got to save our billionaires. We really do.
Do you think maybe we could set up some kind of like a conservatory of some sort?
No, I think we should just have a fundraiser for billionaires. Um, Hollywood needs to get together, do a fundraiser, and just sing some cheesy songs, and just give it all to billionaires because they're our leaders. They know what to do. They're the moral center of this country. Um, yeah.
Uh, have you thought about possibly turning your cell phone on and singing Imagine?
You know, I remember when I first saw that video. I think I saw 2 seconds of it, and I was like, "All right, I'm not watching this." And then at some point, I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna just have to just so I can comment on it, just sit and watch this." And I still can't quite put together what the fuck was going through their minds when they made that shit and what their thought process was. Did they think this was going to be a week and a half of just staying at home and having to learn the name of your maid? What the fuck were they thinking? It was just, it was ultimately. I'm glad they made it. It shows it shows out of touchness. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not a Beatles or expert, but or John Lennon expert, but I get the feeling they kind of missed the mark there in their interpretation of the song. Like I said, I'm not a lyricist. I'm not an expert on music, but that's just my hunch. Yeah.
Yeah, and then somebody just put in chat, they brought up the Madonna in the bathtub video, which was even worse. Like,
Well, oh, I haven't seen that. What's that? You mean Madonna the singer?
yeah, hold on, wait a minute. Let me do this for
Well,
you here. Hold on, I'll
oh,
bring this.
right now? Okay. I'm
Hold
gonna
on.
try to read these comments here. It's so small. Oh, someone wants more Madonna home videos. Yeah.
Hold on. So Madonna's quarantine bathtub. So I
Oh
want
yeah,
to
the Hillary. Someone comments about the Hillary SNL Leonard Cohen bit. Yeah.
which is dope also. Hang on, let me
You
put
know,
this
if
up.
everyone just acts sad, everything will work out great in this country.
So here,
You
hold
know.
on. I'm gonna put this up for you. So it's in a small box, but here you go. This was
Tub waxing
the
on.
ET coverage of it. This was here you go. Look. I am Madonna. I am in a bathtub. Hello, peasants. I have rose water. I am praying for you with my Kabbalah crystals. Why don't you just go out and get some money? Then you wouldn't have a problem. Also, I
Did she
have an
say
English
that? No.
accent. She was basically like it was really bad.
All right,
It
I'll have
was
to watch this.
it was super tone deaf, but it was basically more like, look at me, I'm almost 70 and I still look hot in a bathtub. That's more what it was about. Again, it's the vanity of A-list Hollywood. It wasn't like I give a shit. It's like, look at me, I'm Madonna, I still
I'll have to check
exist.
out the video.
Look at it. It
Um,
literally looks like she's taking a bath in milk. Like it's just the tone deaf. The tone deafness kills me, man. It just kills
I
me.
will watch that. I will watch that. I was not aware.
I'll send you the link on it. It's good stuff. So yeah, so no, I'm kind of excited to see sort of what you come up with because I think in all seriousness, there's a big void out there. I mean, network television's going to be feeling it. I think Netflix and Hulu are going to be going out of their way to buy everything they can that people come with, a completed
Well, I don't
product that can
know.
be
I don't know
scaled.
if they will. I don't know if they will.
Really?
Yeah, I just don't know. And the other thing is, you said there's not gonna have these stuff, but as far as movies go, there's tons of movies already finished.
Yeah, they got a bunch of stuff in
Right.
the can.
So they're gonna have a ton of movies. They have a lot of movies to release. They're just gonna, they haven't figured out what they're doing yet. If they're gonna, because they don't know how long things, movie theaters are gonna be closed. And so I think they're hoping they're going to be open soon, but I don't think that's going to be the case.
Yeah,
But I'm not an expert. But
my wife
so
is.
they're holding on to all these movies. But I don't know.
Uh,
They'll either be putting them in the theaters or putting them online soon, I guess.
So I saw two interesting things on that. Number one, I saw all the fallout from the Trolls release, the Trolls movie, which was the family movie that came out the week that they closed everything down, and then they said fuck it and released it online, and the thing made like $140 million.
Oh wow.
And people were like, "Wait, you mean the movie theaters might not be essential?"
Yeah. Well, they're movie theaters before this lockdown. Movie theaters were have been in danger of being
Yeah,
a thing from the past. Like the movie theater is likely to become what the drive-in theater is today. And with social distancing stuff, the drive-in theaters might actually make a little bit of a comeback
they are
because
making a comeback. They just reopened the one in Chicago.
oh really? Yeah, because people can separate,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's interesting. And like for independent films, art house films, interesting foreign films, those hardly ever get played in theaters anymore. A
Yeah.
lot of theaters have given up on those. So a lot of those have already been, right to streaming. So it's and so much of the movie going uh public and the way they release them is just big, cartoons for kids or adults and big action films, but other smaller budget type of films there's and theatrically in a cinema release there's not as much market for that, so that's already been happening. So
Yeah.
yeah, very weird.
So the other article I saw, and to your point, was so AMC. So AMC owns just under 80% of all the movie screens in America.
Okay.
And they were hurting to start with, just because movie, like Universal and everybody just keeps hacking away at their percentage and their overhead's really high. And so they're talking about somewhere between summer and fall, they're going to have to declare bankruptcy. And it's like
Mhm.
80% of screens in the country in one shot. Like,
Wow.
and you know, the
Wow.
social distancing thing's going to be around for a while. I mean, you're looking 2 years till a vaccine, till they can mass produce it and mass deploy it. You're looking 2 years.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. You know,
So
could be longer. I
I'm
don't
starting to
know.
think like Twitch stuff, YouTube stuff, like people producing on their own. You know, I think
Yeah.
documentaries are going to get really fucking big for a while. You know, like
Well, I've
solo
already,
stand up.
but they're also, I've seen a couple articles where, Tyler Perry has this giant film studio in Georgia, and about how, talking about just moving everyone there, and everyone lives on the studio. And, so you get these like, communities, where
Pods.
everyone's there and everyone's tested. And I heard something about, going to other countries, maybe like, I think I saw some article about Iceland, about they go there and set up some little community or something. So who knows? But
Yes.
I would guess they will try to go to any length to do that stuff.
I would
And
assume so too.
any expense, because I remember, filming on projects, like if you were filming on a movie or a TV show, and let's say you got sick, they don't care, and
Okay.
unless you're, a person's being wheeled away, uh, by an ambulance or something, they're gonna make sure you're working. Like they just in general, they don't care about people's health. It's like, oh, you're sick, you can't walk, you can't do that. Oh, well, you have to film now, so we can't get delayed. We have to get all our shots in for the day. So when I heard about film production shutting down, I first heard about that from my friend in Korea. She's like, yeah, even the TV shows have shut down. I was like, what? They never shut down here, because they don't care about anybody. All they care about is coming in on their budget and getting everything filmed on the schedule that day.
Hmm.
They don't care. So, so when Hollywood shut stuff down, I was like, whoa, this is serious, But they're going to try to go back, I'm sure, and figure something out, but
Well, I still,
it's
I have
it's
friends at
probably won't be
MTV.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
MTV is floating around the idea of soft reopening the Santa Monica office in July,
Hmm.
but it would be a soft pared down opening, and they're talking about now using like smaller like instead of shooting something at the Universal Theater, now they're talking about shooting it at, Vindobona in Glendale in an 800 square foot building that will only fit 3 people, so that you only have 3 people in a room.
Yeah, I I just don't know,
I have
I'm
no
have to
idea how
film
the fuck they're
everything
going to do it.
outside. I don't know, you know.
It's going to be crazy stuff, man. I'm looking forward to, if nothing else, I'm looking forward to all this stuff that gets invented that comes out of this, because,
Yeah,
people,
that's
especially creatives, are.
yeah, no, let's hope so. I'm excited. I mean, there's a lot of, it's a lot of terrible things going on, obviously,
Yeah.
and it's, the disease is terrifying. Our government's bad response to it, unintentional and intentional. A lot of it is terrifying. Um, but it's nice to see nature making a comeback. You know, air, plants, animals. It's nice to see them making a comeback. But yeah, got to figure out a way through, get through things. And I think, on an activism level, there really needs to be an organized movement of people, so that people actually get the power, and the power that we deserve and can get. But it needs to be organized, instead of so many. There's so many great organizations, but there are so many of them are just not connected to each other, and everyone's got to fight for everybody. And we can do it, but it takes a worldwide organization, I think, not just national organization, worldwide organization of everybody from all walks of life coming together. Because we got the people, we can have the power, you know. But because that's like a myth out there, that oh, we have majority rule. It's like, no, we don't. Majorities usually don't rule. It's usually a small group that rules.
A well-funded, powerful group.
And that's the way it's been throughout history of the planet. Throughout history of the planet, of the human race, how often have the majority of people actually run things? It's usually a small group just oppressing everybody since the beginning of time, and it's still that way for the most part. I mean, obviously, some countries are doing a little better than others, but it's something that has to be fought for every day, and it's got to be fought in a unified way. So, how you go about doing that, I don't know, because I'm a very unorganized person. So organization is probably one of my biggest, you know, things I'm not good at. I know it needs to be done, but I don't know how to go about doing it. What else? So I will be putting out, like I said, I'm going to be putting out another stand-up movie this year, at least one other comedy album, because I film and audio record pretty much every set I do. And since my last special, I have over 2 hours of material. And then I'm starting to perform brand new material um, on through streaming shows like this and other shows. So yeah, so if people want to find that out, like I said, I'm just getting my social media stuff together, but I've been most active on Twitter and Instagram. And I'll be doing more. And if you want to see stuff, because I'll be doing at least a few shows a week, hopefully more. And I'll try to figure out Twitch more here too. Like I said, this is my first time doing anything on here, so this is fun.
So
And
I definitely, like, you and I need to talk. Like in case you didn't know,
we've been talking. What were we just doing? We've been talking.
we've been shooting the shit. I mean,
know.
talk. Like, the two things I do is organize and digitally produce stuff remotely. So, I have this whole thing. We even got,
No,
like I said,
your setup looks good there, and it sounds good too. Yeah,
and this isn't, and I don't even have lighting because this is in the middle of my living room, and I have flaming dumpsters. That
that's awesome.
like
That's awesome.
So when I tell you you can create anything with OBS because it's open source, it's literally just the limit of your imagination and then your
Right.
ability to produce stuff. Like, when I tell you, if you've had anything half baked in your head for years and said, I really wanted to do this, but there's no way a network would ever fucking buy it, guess what? This is your time.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, as an artist and as a person, you know, it's always best when you just do your own thing, or do it with other people you get along with.
shit,
So,
yeah. And hey, real quick, there's an awesome comment. There's a comment in chat. Steph says, hi, you don't know me, but my grandfather died and you helped me through stuff and I appreciate everything you have done for me.
thank you, Steph, and much love to you. I was going to make a joke there, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to be sincere. Much love to you, Steph, and thank you for the love. Yep.
I think it's good. Listen, I'm a huge fan of, like, having as much humor as possible, especially now because everything is just so dark. So I find I'm constantly having to straddle between, like, being as fun as possible and still, like, having some, passing on some knowledge and having some sincerity. And I'm still
Sure.
trying to
Sure.
find the sweet spot, and I'm on here live 7 to 8 hours a day every day,
That's awesome.
and I'm still trying to find the spot. So
Yeah.
I got it.
You're going to do it. You're going to find your way. We're going to figure out a way through this.
Oh,
So,
I'm not concerned. I'm just trying to figure out how I can get as many people as possible to come with me before I, unleash madness upon society.
yeah. Well, that's good. I think you're doing all right.
Hey,
So,
gotta have a plan.
yep.
All right. So everybody, this is Judah. Judah's awesome. I put Judah's Twitter in the chat. You should definitely follow him. So you're going to try to do another stand-up movie. You've got, footage lined up. You're doing appearances. When you go to kick something out, like, instead of being on other people's spots, but pulling out your own thing on your own spot, holler at your boy. I'll get you taken care of.
Cool.
I'll get you all
Thanks,
squared
man.
away. Any
Yeah.
parting words for the Act TV audience?
I just want to tell you guys to keep being winners. And if you're ever feeling down, you just say my name and I'll show up and I'll be there for you.
Like 3 times in a mirror, like Handyman?
No, just once.
Just once. Okay. Oh, this is why you are the world champ, Judah. I'm
Yep.
super stoked, man.
Winners.
Winners. It's Judah Friedlander. You can follow him on Twitter at Judah World Champ, or on any number of other fine social media platforms. And he will be coming to a remote device somewhere near you in a digital box where he will tell jokes and you will laugh.
And if you haven't checked out my stand-up film, it's on Netflix. America is the greatest country in the United States. And you cannot argue that.
Judah, that Israel joke is still literally the best joke I've ever heard. And I can.
Thank you. Don't give it away. Let people just watch it. Yeah.
I'm going to. I can just imagine you had to carry that around your back pocket for months before somebody said the trigger word. And you were like,
No.
Really?
That was initially first done on stage, and then I did it just a few times. Yeah. So,
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, see, when I do stand up, I do a lot of writing, not beforehand, but just as I'm doing it. So.
Really? You go in with a lot of that, you riff it?
Yeah, no, my act is a real mix of pre-prepared stuff and stuff on the spot. And maybe even more on the spot. Yeah.
But we
can get into more of that later. That's a whole longer conversation.
You are a wizard, man. Well, we'll have to do this again, like sometime soon, because I know you have a lot of time.
Sounds good.
Everybody, it's Judah Friedlander. He is amazing. He is awesome. At Judah World Champ. His special is still on the Netflix rotation. Go check out Judah. And Judah, man, give me a call anytime, brother. Anytime.
You got it. Stay safe.
Nice.
And be well, everyone. Winners.
Be well then for me. Excellent. Be well, Judah. I'll talk to you in a bit.
Yep.
Peace.